anathema if you think of the way Eritrea will not run around, will not use ethnic interests as a division. It really does harmonize, and it's the egalitarian aspect. This is not what is seen in Ethiopia. And I think when these investigations are done, when individuals, especially sort of third party human rights organizations, don't understand the context of the country or the history of the country, and they go in exactly as Yafet was saying, they cannot be independent and impartial because they don't have the understanding of those countries, and they can be manipulated. And unfortunately, this is what is happening. And finally, I suppose your perspective from the above, everything that you've mentioned on the conflict, just your sort of summarizing conclusion on that.
Come back sort of one point in terms of sort of how they create false narratives and try to make the world believe. My heart bleeds for anybody, any woman or mother who could have been treated sort of raped or any sexual gender violence that could have happened to them. Okay? But the truth of the matter is, yes, it needs to be objectively investigated, but the truth of the matter is, as I think Yafet trying to allude, the TPLF, when it realized that it's losing grip of Tigray and basically Mekelle, as they are leaving the towns, what they did is they opened up the prisons, okay? Prisons which contain serial rapists and murderers, okay? Why would you do that? Okay? And what's happened is, in the last couple of years, it is well documented as well. I hate to say this, but probably rape is a huge problem already in Tigray, okay, before these changes happened. Like I said, I hate to say that sort of Mekelle would be the rape capital of Ethiopia, but protests against rape by girls and women have been banned by the TPLF. We can sort of show this categorically. There are protests that has been sort of wanted to happen in Mekelle or in main cities in Tigray, which has been banned by the TPLF because they don't want the world to know that there is such a problem. So I'm not trying to say that nothing has happened that needs to be investigated, but prior to the conflict, there is already a huge problem. And people who have been perpetrating that have deliberately been let loose for it to appear that it is the invaders or the Ethiopian army or sort of the Eritrean army, if they were there, okay, who have committed this. That's what they were saying. So for me, the TPLF sort of, it's a kamikaze kind of setup, which didn't care anything about what kind of crisis that is going to be putting its people into. It is not like the Ethiopian government or Abiy's government. I'm not speaking for Abiy's government, by the way, but I'm simply saying sort of what I know of the record. Okay, they have tried to avoid this, avert this. Okay, in the last 2 years, there were a number of missions through civic organizations, mothers, elders, religious leaders who have went, bent down, and basically begged the TPLF leaders of avoiding this. Okay, but of course, the belligerent leaders who think that they have got the army of Alexander the Great. Okay, their script wasn't what exactly happened on the ground, but not just them. Even the Western media, what happened on the ground was not on script. They thought that they will basically run over Ethiopia and sort of find their way back into power in Addis. Actually, that is not what transpired. So this self-destructive power, in my view, are exclusively responsible for the humanitarian crisis that has happened in Tigray. Let me tell you something. In fact, through its law enforcement operations, the Ethiopian government And if Eritrea has helped the Ethiopian government, as Abiy have said, I said well done for that, because it has averted a major and monumental humanitarian crisis in the Horn of Africa, and possibly something that could have even reached the Western shores. So the Western needs to be grateful and cognizant about what Ethiopia, and if Eritrea has basically helped to do that, what they have averted. That's what they need to understand. So these people, for me, they are no more. Okay, the fact what the TPLF supporters are trying to say that it's a democratically elected sort of setup very recently. I mean, this whole is because they think that they are a de facto state by themselves. They have no respect for any institution or for the federal institution. They basically defied everything what their country, which they still call that they're part of Ethiopia, are supposed to be respecting. So they're like a mafia group. Okay, if they are let, if what they want has happened, we would have not been sitting here and talking about the things that could humanly be resolved now. There is, as you said, so we can pose the question later on how we resolve that matter, but I don't think the TPLF, who I think, in my view, have basically broken the constitutional order of Ethiopia, need to even be considered. They're gone for me. There should be a different setup, different dispensation. There is an interim government in Tigray. The world community needs to support the Ethiopian government and the interim government in Tigray and bring peace in that area. Thankfully, there is a good relationship between Ethiopia and Eritrea, as we saw yesterday from the briefing that came out of the visit of Dr. Abiy. Things looks like that they're going to be heading for a brighter future, that region, provided that the TPLF is forever taken out of the picture. That's my view.
Thank you so much. And certainly, power corrupts, and unfortunately, everything sort of alludes to the TPLF behaviour and being a complete sort of example of that. Unfortunately, a lot of the Western media and institutions, as you and Yafet were saying, there is a stranglehold on the media, and there is only one narrative that's coming out, and that's only the TPLF's, which is so much for sort of free press and democracy. And talking about media, it's a good time to lead on to Mr. Martin Zimmerman. So Martin, as a freelance journalist and the extensive experience you've had on the ground in Eritrea, including reporting, can you tell us about your experience of Eritrea? And I'll bring this into everything we've heard from Yafet and Zelalem. But I'd just like your sort of experience on Eritrea and reporting.